Hey Joanne, it's Jessica here. I really appreciate you speaking with me this morning. I really enjoyed our conversation. And thank you for accepting this free video. I'm super excited that you did because I'm going to walk you through a couple strategies. You guys can start applying by yourself and as soon as you want. Okay. But the strategies that I give you, I know work well because we have applied these same strategies with over 50 other restoration companies across the US, and it's made a huge impact in their business. Now, right now, you guys serve a pretty large area between the metro area and northern Minnesota and Wisconsin, but you're only getting about 11 people organically to your website per month. Those are people that are searching for services and landing on your page versus typing out your website address up here. Okay. So you're missing out on over 80% of people searching for your business each and every month. Now, 90% of the time when people search, and they're in these emergencies, they don't know who you are yet. Even though you have been around for so many years. In those emergency situations, they're searching for the help that they need. So they're searching for water damage help, fire damage help, mold remediation, etc. Okay? And so your website needs to be built around that, and using the local keywords. So whether you want to base this out of Duluth or Minneapolis, your home page and each of these service pages need to be built around that local keyword. Okay. So Duluth water damage restoration, Minneapolis, water damage repair Minneapolis, Minneapolis water damage cleanup. Okay. We want to capitalize on the different ways people are searching. But we have to use those local keywords. Now, Google has made a ton of changes in the last 18 months, okay? Changing their algorithm, the way that they're valuing websites, the type of content they're looking for. They definitely want to make sure everything is mobile first with click-to-call phone numbers, which this appears to be, so that is awesome. They also have moved to people first. So before we used to be able to get away with just giving a bunch of generic information, adding a bunch of keywords, and that was enough. But now it needs to be actual helpful information. It needs to answer your common questions. Your navigation needs to be set up in an easy way to understand, which it is, and in the order of importance. So, the order you have these pages in should be the order of the services that are most important to you. And Google wants a separate page for each of the major services because it really allows you to dive into that topic, answer the most common questions. For water damage, it might talk about different types of water intrusion, how it happens, what to do when it happens, what type of processes you use to fix the situation, and showcase the type of equipment that you're going to use. By doing that, it really showcases you as an expert and that you have a lot of experience. Google has moved to something called EEAT, that our content needs to be built around. And so EEAT stands for experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trust. And so we have to have those 4 factors on all of our pages. And so that's pretty important. I do love the fact that you guys have a ton of YouTube videos embedded in here. That is definitely a plus for you guys. You got some great top trust factors right on the top. One other thing I would do, so when you're bringing people to this page and they're finally landing here, you need right on the top here, you really need to have a form, a click to call with a form. In this hero section, we see about a 70% increase in conversion ratios. Now, as I kind of went through your website here, Most of this page, and even most your service pages and service area pages, really are more about your organization, your company, how you started, what you guys do versus the services that you're offering, and really giving the helpful information about each of those services. And like I said, 90% of the time people aren't going to be searching for you. They are searching for the service they need. So the content really needs to be more redirected. Not so much on the brand as it is on the services and the local keywords for those services. The information you have on here is important. Okay. It definitely builds that authority. You guys have been here a long time. You know, you have that authority here, so it needs to be here, but it doesn't need to be the bulk of every single page. It can be just a small section on the page, but then have the page devoted to each of those services. And then maybe even have a page about your background where you can actually go into all of these specifics that you have here. Okay, so you need to kind of convert your content strategy and make it more keyword focused. You do have separate service area pages, which is great. You absolutely do need these. And you should have them for all your major service area cities. Google is proximity based. So based on where somebody is searching, Google's going to try and give them the most relevant information. So these pages, you do have them, but they're pretty much all the exact same page, just switching out the locations. And Google does not like the duplicate information. So they do all need to be original. And you probably eventually should also have the pages for the other surrounding areas, okay? So depending on how far you go out, you might have in Bloomington and Ridgefield, Edina, Brooklyn Park, you know, all of those areas, so that you actually show up throughout your entire area and not just these 4 main locations. So at some point, it is something you guys will want to do. Now Google is sending crawlers to your website to try and figure out who you guys are, what you guys are about, where you serve. And so they scan every image, video, and text to try and gather that information. So the type of content you have is important. You do need at least 1,500 words or more on this homepage. And when your competitors have 1,500 words, you will need more than they have. When we looked in both Minneapolis and in the Duluth area, SERVPRO is one of your top competitors for water damage. And yes, they're a franchise, but they are also very beatable, especially SERVPRO. SERVPRO franchise, and most franchises don't allow the franchisees to actually modify the website pages that they're given. They're pretty generic and the same across the board. And so, like here, instead of focusing what they should be focusing on, they're talking all about Bob Dylan. Okay, Bob Dylan is not going to get them water jobs. So having better quality content, more content, and really focused on a keyword strategy is going to be absolutely critical for you guys. So we need more content, better quality content, and really dialed in keyword strategy. All right. So now when people do a search, we know they do a search similar to this. And when they do, your website has the opportunity to show up in 3 main areas at the top. The first is generally going to be ads. And these are local service ads and cost per click ads. And both can be really beneficial and lucrative if that is something you do want to do at some point. As long as your processes are dialed in, you have good budget set up, And for the cost per click, that you have designated landing pages built for those ads, and you don't just send them to your main website pages, because those designated landing pages help with the conversion. They help increase that ROI. Okay. But with ads, leads only come as long as you are paying them. The minute you stop them, the leads dry up and go away. These other two sections here are not dependent on an ad spend. Okay. This is your Google Map Pack, Google My Business profile. And so you want your Google Business profile to be in the top 3 for your service area. And so if you find that you're not in this top 3, you do need to further optimize it, because 30% of people come straight to these maps and they do not go anywhere else. So when you're not one of these top 3 companies, you're leaving that money on the table and basically giving it to your competition. So in order to further optimize these profiles, you need to go out and get a bunch of citations, which is simply listing the name of the business, address, phone number, and website, and placing those in a bunch of directories like the Better Business Bureau, Angie's, Glassdoor, Houzz, Yelp, Home Advisor, and even social media profiles. Okay, so those citations are really, really important and can help give you a big boost in this map pack. And then this third section here is the most critical section. This is your organic section. This section is so important because 60 to 70% of people will skip ads and the maps, and they come right here. And so when your website doesn't show up here for the area that people are searching and the services, you're losing additional 60 to 70% of those jobs every single month. So in order for your website to show up here, it comes back to the foundation of this website. Do you have the right content and keyword strategy? And then are you supporting that with a backlink strategy? Okay. So if we look here, sorry about that, wrong page. So here we can see that you guys have a rating of a 4.9 out of 100. Which tells us Google doesn't trust your website, and that's because of the power we're sending to your website. And I know that you guys said that you're not really hiring anybody, you're not really in financial position, but it does look like here that you've had steady addition of backlinks. So whether somebody's doing it on your behalf or you're doing it yourself, it is happening for you. However, not all backlinks are created equal. You have over 900 and a rating of a 4.9, which says that most of these backlinks are spammy links that are doing more harm than good. So we only want to focus on getting good quality links closely related to the services that you're offering. You have been indexed for a couple of keywords and are getting about 11 people to your site. And you are just started to rank for a couple Duluth keywords. The higher you rank on the first page, the more this traffic that you're going to get. So you definitely want to keep working those keywords and then focus on that keyword and content strategies so you can be indexed for more of the keywords in each of your service areas. Now, as for SERVPRO, they're not doing any SEO. This actually does not match up with the screen I'm going to show you, but they have been indexed for a few keywords. They are getting traffic. Now, this is just for one of their pages, not their entire area pages, but this is a single page, okay? They are ranking for a few keywords. They're at the top positions. And so the higher you rank, you can get over 30% of that traffic. So just this one keyword for water damage restoration Minneapolis has 450 searches per month, and they're capturing 156 of that just to this one single page. Okay. So they're getting tons of traffic because, they have those keywords indexed. Okay. So these guys are all going to be beatable for you. In most of your service area, most of these competition is beatable, but you do need to apply the strategies I hope that you found this to be helpful. This is all stuff you guys can do yourself. Feel free to ask any questions you have at Peterson SEO. This is our specialty. So if later down the road you want help with this, go ahead and reach out and give us a call. We'd be happy to chat.